In last week's episode here at Mama Bima, I shared a story on my amazing annuity client who did an early retirement at the age of 50 and purchased an annuity with his pension savings and went ahead and really showed love in action by adding his spouse to his annuity benefit and purchased what we call a joint annuity. I think for me, that story still excites me so much. And even just seeing it sort of unfold, from the point of doing needs analysis with the client, getting him the first draft of quotes, and then now discussing about adding his spouse to him finally settling on an annuity product with a 20-year guarantee and a joint life annuity for that matter with 100% reversionary rate. That was such a big win. In today's episode, I want us to talk about the alternative to annuities when it comes to retirement planning. Because when you get your ideal age of retirement, and in Kenya, early retirement is from the age of 50, you can either purchase what we call an annuity or an income drawdown, which is abbreviated as an IDD. So in today's session, we will be putting a spotlight briefly on IDDs just to see between annuities and IDDs, maybe which one should you consider. Karibuni sana to this episode. My name is Mama Bima Kenya, licensed insurance agent in the 254 and an insurance educator, and a passionate and dedicated one for that matter. So always super grateful when you lend me your ear, because it's really my mission to fight insurance illiteracy, financial illiteracy in our country, and promote conversations around protection planning, retirement planning, because we are the generation that will retire wealthy. Okay? Are you loving my tea? Pension plan yangu haiwezi kuwa watoto wangu. We are that generation that will actually get our pension planning and retirement planning right. Karibuni sana to today's episode. So it's time for retirement, and in most cases, you are faced with two options. Of course, annuities are the more popular retirement planning option because from what we discussed, it's actually my hope that by this time, if you have not caught our episode on annuities, please pause this video. You need to go there, just pause this video, go watch, and then you come back. It's not a very long video. Just go watch and then you come back. The beauty with annuities is that they have that guarantee of we will take care of you for the rest of your lifetime. So in the case of our client who had a pension benefit of 3,599,000 shillings, he got a guarantee that for the rest of his life, his wife and him would be receiving 36,000 and something every single month for as long as they live. So annuities are an insurance product. It's a contract that comes with the guarantee that, Charlene, now you have retired. For as long as you live, we are going to pay you this amount every single month. On the converse, income drawdown, which is what we are putting a spotlight on in today's episode, is an investment product. I hope now you actually get to start to see the differences. So an income drawdown is where, for example, in the case of our client, he would have come with his 3.599 million. The money would be invested either by an insurance company or a fund manager, and he would be drawing down, sort of like withdrawing from the lump sum pension benefit. And now it will be up to the insurance company or the fund management company to do their utmost best to ensure that they give him a return that hopefully is in excess of how much he's withdrawing. That usually just puts jitters in me. I fear IDDs, honestly. Maybe it's because the IDD space in the Kenyan market is yet to mature up to that level that would give me confidence as an insurance agent, as a financial advisor, to really, encourage my clients to pick up IDDs. But also in 2024, I must tell you, I sold an IDD. I met a client and we sat down with her, pension benefit of 14 points, something million shillings. And I showed her the options for annuities, showed her the options for IDDs, and we discussed them thoroughly. When I mean thoroughly, by the I do not play, like I sit down with my client and we do A to Z, and she opted for an IDD. So there are still clients out there who actually do have an appetite for IDDs. And let's just now interrogate this product a little bit more. So as we have said, maybe my jitters around IDDs are because it's dependent on the performance of the investment markets. Like there are no guarantees. So you're going into retirement, but for example, when we do a quotation, for an income drawdown, they will either project a withdrawal at the rate of 8% of the benefit annually, or 10% of the benefit, or 12% of the benefit. And for most IDD providers, what they really propose to the client is to draw down at 10%. But sometimes that always puts me, takes me a little bit back, because I'm like, how many companies in this market, even those that provide IPPs and all, how many can confidently say that we can give a 10% return in the long term? This is where we play the cricket sound, because not very many. If you're looking at just historical performance, by the way, of just pension schemes in the market, so for the insurance company or the fund manager to propose a drawdown at 10%, for me, it always feels like, I'm not very sure. Like if the client is drawing down, let's take an example of a client who say has a 20 million benefits. Okay, pension benefit, and they draw down at 10%. So that means every year they're withdrawing 2 million shillings from the 20 million overall benefit. What if that company or that scheme, when invested, is not able to meet the 10% that the client drew down? What if they do an 8%? It actually means that the client actually ate 2% into their principal amount. And that always just puts jitters in me, because for now, as it is, when you compare historical performance of most pension schemes, to draw down at 10% for me, it just sounds so risky. So unless I come across a client who is agreeable that we probably play very safely and draw down at either a 6% or 7%, then I'm like, because 6%, 7%, there are definitely a few IDD providers in the market that I can pinpoint and say, yes, I'm confident this company over the next 10 years, because by the way, I didn't mention that an income drawdown contract runs for 10 years. So over the next 10 years, I'm confident that this company can actually beat that 6% or 7% that you will be drawing down. When it comes to an income drawdown for me, for a client who is like annuities, give me a different option. The ideal client for me when it comes to IDDs, I would talk of a client maybe who has an obscene amount of money in their pension benefits. Let me surprise you, because I always see wonders in the Kenyan market. I have seen an agent in this market sell, a retirement solution to a client who had a pension benefit up to the level of 200 and I think 99 million shillings in pension benefits. Ebu, msicheze wa Kenya. Can you imagine? How do you have 200 plus million in pension benefits? It was either 299 or 199, one of the two. It was a few years ago. For me, such a client, if probably I was to sit down with him, I would want, but these are my assumptions because I do not know the client in question. My assumption would be that this is a client who's probably very wealthy. I would want to imagine that other than his pension benefit, he has other sources of income. He's probably invested very well. He has shares, he has bonds. So he has probably real estate that would also be bringing, different, sources of income in his old age. So for such a client, maybe I would actually advocate for an IDD more than an annuity, because that way he's sure that even if he goes for even just a 5%, drawdown, or a 6% or a 7% drawdown, literally, even that lump sum amount can actually continue to grow over the years, because you can imagine, say, if you're drawing down at 6% and your insurance company that's issuing the IDD gives even an 8% return or a 9% return, that already tells you your principal is actually increasing year on year. Okay, so in the case of where a client is comfortable doing a low drawdown, 5%, 6%, 7%, nothing more than that, then I can actually recommend an IDD, because then whatever is coming from the IDD would be complementing, all the other sources of income that he probably has from other ventures. Also, an IDD, maybe one of the packs that it has, say, of annuities, and one, like even for my client who picked up an IDD in 2024, she was still very keen on having this IDD as quote unquote part of what she would be able to leave behind for her kids. She didn't want to trade off her entire pension benefits into an annuity. Even with the guarantee periods, she just felt like, no, I just can't let go of this, 14 million benefit that I have worked so hard for over the years. For such a client who's feeling that uneasiness and wants an investment option, then of course an IDD is an alternative to an annuity. And the way I look at it is that we will get more players, in the business, probably coming within the IDD space. Hopefully we will get also the pensions market performing way better, so that, even if the pension schemes can start averaging maybe some 14%, 15%, we can now say, yes, you can draw down at 10%, right? Because every time I think of drawing down at 10% and then the fund manager or the insurance company declares at 8%, I would just be having mini heart attacks on behalf of my client year on year. And to think that an IDD, like in most cases, will run for 10 years. However, we do have different IDD providers that will actually allow you, if you've been with them, say, for 5 years and you want to move to a different IDD product, you can actually move after the 5th year, if you're feeling like their performance is not optimized. Something else to note with IDDs, yes, it runs for 10 years, and at the end of the 10th year, you can decide whether to renew into another IDD. You can, at that point, also decide, do I want to buy an annuity? You can do that. And also, you can also decide, do I want to access my money as a cash lump sum? Those are some of the options you have at the end of the IDD contract. I'm so keen to know, because I do have, by the way, I have younger friends, I must tell you, and people who are very financially savvy, and they swear by IDDs. The one thing I keep telling them is, I am happy, you're still young, you probably have 20 plus years to go to retirement, so that IDD space will have matured up. That is what we definitely pray for. So it will have matured up and we will have like very solid products in the market. So probably then IDDs will be a solution for the future. But for me, I want guarantees, by the way. In old age, me and Baba Bima, I will just be thinking, can you give me a guarantee that come rain, come sunshine, I am sure that my loved ones, even if I exit before, my joint annuitant, that they will continue to receive their lump sum, month on month. So anyway, these are some of the biases that we also face as we do our business. Sometimes kuna ile product umeshikilia close to your heart. But I think as the years go by, you also get surprises. You feel also the market is growing. So I still see a lot of potential within that IDD space. And I do believe that, all the smart brains, the actuaries and the who's in our market are working to really ensure that even for those of us who still have some easiness around IDDs, they can refine this product so that hopefully, it can hopefully have the same power with this annuity. I think right now, Bado ziko hivi, with annuities having the upper hand. So those are my thoughts on IDDs, and I would really love to hear from you, by the way, especially in the comment section. What do you think? Are you team IDD? Are you team annuities? Do you have an experience with either of the two? Or do you know someone with an experience, say with an IDD especially? How has it been for them? Is it thumbs up? Is it true? I think it's always good to share so that even those around us can learn. Yes. And that's it from me today from the desk of Mama Bima Kenya. I really love putting these videos together for you. Najua tunasema tunapiga nini? Tunapiga insurance literacy. We are here to ensure that conversations around protection planning, around retirement planning, around investments are amplified. If you have loved today's video, if you have loved any of the videos that you watch, or if you have loved this audio, maybe you're just listening to us through Spotify or on your preferred platform, please make a point of sharing with your loved ones, especially those whom you feel will enjoy the information that I share on my platform. Thank you so much for your time. Always grateful when you keep me company and when you consume these videos that take so much time to put together. So I'm truly grateful for your time. As always, it's me, Mama Bima Kenya. I am a licensed insurance agent in the 254 and a dedicated and passionate insurance educator. Until next time, please ensure you are doing your part when it comes to retirement planning, and remember to stay insured.